Good morning everyone, hope you're all doing well. This might actually end up being a bit of a boring one if you're expecting any race or training footage or even a nice drone shot. I'm just going to run through the end of 2021, some baseline or sort of fitness tests that I ended up doing, just some markers that I can hopefully then repeat and hopefully get better on as we go into the first big race of 2022, which is actually going to be the Outlaw Nottingham Half again. So I'll also compare some of these fitness tests or baseline markers to previous years or previous events that I've done, just to show some improvements that also went into 2021. So let's get into it. So first up we have the swim, and I ended up doing a 100 metre and a 400 metre test down at the pool, but this was actually after I'd finished a 2-month sort of get better at swimming program, which I found from Effortless Swimming. I'll link it below somewhere in the description, but just to preface these as well, I wasn't really going like 100% effort. I wasn't like throwing up a lung at the end of the lane or after each of the 100 and 400 metre tests. So sort of probably around sort of 90% effort. So for the 100 metre I swam a 1:48, and for the 400 metre I finished in 8:10. So as you can see from that, I'm not actually a very good swimmer. And just for some comparison, the only actual 400 metre effort I've actually done before would have been in a sprint distance triathlon. So I went and found some of those, and I've never broken the 9-minute mark. In fact, my fastest up until that point in a race was sort of around 9:30. So I've made some good gains in the pool already, and hopefully that will then translate into better swims on race days. Also for today's workout, I am jumping on the bike again. I'm going to do 5x5x5, so 5 minutes of effort times 5 with 5 minutes recovery in between, all above or slightly above FTP. So I did do this session last week, I think, at FTP. So this week I'm just going to stick 5 watts onto each of the 5-minute intervals. And I'm just going to keep doing that until I can't do it anymore. Right, so back to the bike. This is where things actually didn't go too well for me. For this, I performed the Zwift ramp test, as it's the easiest but the least accurate FTP test that you can do. So the last 20-minute FTP test I did, I can't remember what it was, I'll put the date somewhere. I came away with an FTP of 275 watts, which is 3.9 watts per kilo for me. So I've been trying to get to around 4 for ages now, basically. Unfortunately, the ramp test put me at 272 watts, and I was so annoyed with that I repeated the test 2 days later and came away with a 269, which was great. I think the main reason my bike has suffered a little bit going in towards the end of last year was I started to swim a lot more. So I was averaging 3 to 4 sessions a week down at the pool doing this 2-month program, and then that was probably on a weekly average sort of 2 less bike sessions that I was doing. So I missed quite a lot of bike workouts during that 2.5 month period. But anyway, I'm sure we'll get that back. So the bike FTP now is at 270 watts or 3.8 watts per kilogram. And onto the run, where I did manage quite a few end of year races actually. So just a quick run through of those. For the marathon, I ran a 3:03 at York, compared to a previous year where I'd run a 3:23 at York as well. So that was my previous PB. For the half, I ran a 1:22 in Reading. That was compared to a PB in a previous year of 1:27 at the big half in London. And then for a 5-miler, I ran a 29:27 at Hatfield. And that was compared to a previous 5-miler at the same event, but a virtual version where I ran a 30:02. But the real baseline tests for running were done at parkruns. So I went to Rickmansworth Parkrun. I did an all-out 5K, which was horrific. Sweet Jesus, thank God that's over. And then one where I targeted a specific heart rate and tried to keep to that the whole way around. So for the all-out 5K at Ricky Parkrun, I did a 17:57, which was a new PB. My previous Parkrun PB was actually 18:22. So a good bit of gain there. And then for the target heart rate, I aimed for an average of 170 beats per minute. My max is around 195, so pretty comfortable heart rate for me. And I finished in 21:25, and that was in December. The purpose of that session was because I was planning on doing a really hard parkrun every few weeks, but that 17:57 was absolutely horrific, and I vowed not to do it again for as long as possible. So I picked a target heart rate, and I'm going to repeat that as I go along and see. Hopefully the time will tumble down a little bit as I try and hit that average heart rate. Right, so that's it. As I say, I'm going to repeat a lot of these tests as we get closer to Outlaw Nottingham Half. mainly just as a confidence boost, really. So hopefully some of the times will come down as well. Maybe the watts per kilo on the bike will go up, all that sort of stuff. And also I'll put all the baseline tests in the description and stuff below, so if anyone wants to compare themselves to me, you can. Actually, up next I'll be covering the first sort of early season race that I'm going to be doing. It's at Dorney. I'm going to be doing a half marathon. Not sure if I'll get a PB, but sort of a good time under 125 will be pretty good. That's this weekend, so stay tuned for that, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.